Inscription is a game about a psychotic maniac forcing you to play cards in his rundown shack in the middle of the woods. It's also a roguelike. If that sounds interesting to you, stop watching the video, run downstairs, get in your car, get out your car, what are you doing in your car, run back upstairs, boot up Steam, turn off your peripheral vision so you can't see any of the spoilers Devolver accidentally left in the trailer, buy the game, download it, play it, and then come back here once you're finished. Alright, they're gone? Great, rest of you play it anyway, it's actually fun. It's been a bit since I've played a game that surprised me as much as Inscription did. A whole month, in fact. Or 2. Or 3. Or 4. I went into it nervously eyeing the roguelike and the deck builder tags, and came out the other side with a big grin on my face and a shoe-in for Game of the Year. And that's rare for me. Usually by the end of the year I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, trying to pick my favourite from all the games I kind of liked. But no, this is the one. This one right here. This is the game that should win all the awards. If you don't count DLCs. And yet, I don't see anyone talking about it. It's sold well, reviewed well, got a Game Awards nomination, but then I go on Twitter and I don't see any cute Leshy fan art, no memes about the stoat or the fucking slime guy, even YouTube, barely anything. Markiplier played it.
Hello everybody.
Awesome, thanks Mark. So fuck it. Inscription video. I have nothing valuable to add to the conversation at all, but I want more people to play this masterpiece. And I want Leshy fan art. Inscription was made by one guy, Daniel Mullins, plus a bunch of other people who contributed a whole load of other stuff, but primarily one dude. This one dude has also made 2 other games, Pony Island, which you might have heard of, and The Hex, which you haven't heard of. Pony Island is a cute little game about ponies and haunted arcade cabinets and Satan, standard stuff, but The Hex is a mystery game that is split up into sections based on completely different video game genres. Platformers, top-down shooters, RPGs, you get it, you've played a video game before. The Hex isn't particularly good, per se. A lot of the game is just boring filler, which isn't ideal when the total length is 6 hours, and the art style is just vile, but as a cute experiment, it's really interesting. Even had a whole ARG built into it, which was probably cool. Now Inscription muscles in, here he comes, and decapitates these 2 with a fucking baseball bat. Inscription does something that I don't think any other game has managed to do. Well, it does a lot of things that no other game has managed to do, but it also managed to make a card game and a roguelike fun simultaneously. In my book, that's up there with, like, meeting aliens and shit. I've already talked a lot about how much I dislike roguelikes, and believe me, you don't want to get me started again. I've got a 14-page essay at the ready, don't try me. Card games, if you can believe it, are lower than that. I don't mind Hearthstone, I guess, but fuck man, I don't think there's another genre on the planet that can exude as much misery out of me as deck builder. I think I almost broke down into tears when they announced SteamWorld Quest. Like, what is the point of making it a card game? Just make it a normal strategy game. What is to be gained from displaying each move in Uno format? At the very least, if you're gonna force me to play a card game, make sure you give a good justification for why it's a card game. Playing a card game against your will with a creepy weirdo who really wants you to check out his custom D&D campaign, and it's actually fun to play? Now that is mildly interesting, tell me more. The best part of Inscription is this, the set dressing, the disembodied eyes sitting across from you, the world map, the little sets and masks Leshy makes for each encounter, the boss fights. It's all in service of adding to the atmosphere and masking the fact that all you're doing is playing around with cards. Teeth are your points and your currency. You have to sacrifice creatures to place more powerful ones on the board. Four Eyes over there comes in for a hug every now and again. One of the cards you can get is this lovely fella. When you combine cards, you don't just combine them. You combine them. The music that plays in the background makes you feel like you're walking down a dark alley at 3 AM. Then the boss fight music comes in. This game is such a goldmine of cool details, and I haven't even talked about the rest of the cabin. Hey, sit back down, we haven't finished. Usually all of this set dressing is here to make up for a core gameplay loop that's really boring, or frustrating, or just plain terrible, which it very easily could have been. Like, imagine the rest of the game was the exact same, but instead of the card game we got, you had to play Gwent. but it's actually fun. The basic structure is good, every additional layer on top of that is great, the learning curve is just right, there's a lot of fun alternative strategies, it's just plain fun to mess around with. It's more of a puzzle game than anything. Because you can see a preview of what Leshy is about to place on the board at all times, you can meticulously work out the best possible placement of cards, instead of randomly placing stuff and then getting demolished 5 seconds later. It's a card game for people who like thinking, but not too much, and hey, that's me. The deck building side is fun too. Building out a well-rounded deck, or just saying fuck it and filling up your deck with pack rats, or just saying fuck it even harder and making one card that could kill God, is such an engaging loop. All of the roguelike stuff isn't quite as good, but if we're looking at a scale from pure misery to Hades, Inscription sits firmly on the actually fun side of the spectrum. If this game was a full roguelike with precise balancing and fucking 10 levels on the world map, you wouldn't be watching this video, it just wouldn't work. But because the game is so short and so lenient with its difficulty, the few downsides of the roguelike structure just slip away. It does the Hades thing of making the game gradually easier as you go by giving you better cards, new mechanics, unlocking more puzzles in the cabin. I said but it also seems to understand that some of the people playing just fucking hate roguelikes and accommodates them too. If you're good at the game and can get through it at a decent pace, great, awesome for you. But if you're shit, worry not, because you're not going to be sitting around slamming your head against a brick wall long after new content has stopped showing up. Once you've seen it all, the game pretty much hands you the keys to cheese it, first in small ways, then in larger ones. It's an automatic difficulty slider. If you like roguelikes and are good at them, great, you'll finish it before the game-breaking stuff becomes apparent. If you hate roguelikes and are only here for the cool atmospheric stuff, awesome. Here's a card that does 12 damage. Then there's the rest of the cabin. You can get up now. Inscription is a card game, and a horror game, and a roguelike, and a billion other things, but it's also got some escape room stuff in there, because of course it has. Anytime you're not in battle, you can get up, have a wander around, give Leshy a high five, and interact with all the trinkets in the cabin. There's loads of stuff in here, like suspicious picture frame, squirrel with knife, door to your dad's workshop, some daggers, a funny goo man. Some of these are just little details that add to the atmosphere, like all the figures Leshy uses for the game that are kept on one of the shelves. But some of these hide little puzzles that you can figure out as you progress through the game. Actually, describing them as puzzles is giving them a little bit too much credit. They're more like fun things you can stumble across as you play. The best one is easily the cuckoo clock, because the solution is stabbing your own eye out and getting given a new cooler one that can see invisible ink. Do you see why this game is fucking sick? Inscription is just great. If you like horror, or you like environmental storytelling, or you're one of those weird people who actually buys games because you like the genre and not because the Steam banner looks cool, just buy it. You should have 8 minutes ago, but you wanted me to convince you first, and now I have. What else do you want me to say? You can stab your own eye out, for fuck's sake. Just don't watch the trailer, or read the reviews, or read anything else about it. Just buy it, and then play it, and don't look at anything else until you're done. Alright? Okay. Good. Right. Wait, you're still here? Fine. Spoilers! Fuck off if you haven't played the game yet. The great twist of Inscription, or it would have been if Devolver didn't spoil it in every trailer they put out, is that all of this is only a third of the entire game. What you're really playing is Leshy's version of Inscription, a nightmare funhouse version of what is really just a cute little RPG game that this idiot found while rummaging through the woods. The 3 other scribes, they're the talking cards from earlier. The world map, look familiar? The trapper and trader? I see where Leshy got his inspiration from. All of the AI is sentient, because of course they are. You're playing a Daniel Mullins game, what do you expect? And if you play this section of the game to completion, it twists again. Now it's PO3's version of Inscription, and now it's 3D again, and horror, sort of, and you can stretch your legs if you want. And here's where it loses some people. Judging by the Steam achievement stats and some of the reviews, there's a fair few people who just wanted to stay in Leshy's cabin and drink hot chocolate and get murdered over and over again. Honestly, don't blame them. But that creativity of the first half doesn't dissipate once you've left it. In some ways, it only gets more creative once the restraints are lifted. There's a puzzle in here that uses the settings menu as part of the solution. There's a boss in the third act that makes you design the gimmick itself. Actually, every boss in the third act is fucking amazing. There's one that asks you to pick a file from your PC to make a custom card from, then threatens to delete it if you die. Even the little things, like the world map staying the same between the RPG and Bottopia versions, just adds so much to the game. There's a ton of hidden secrets and fun and creative visuals and a meta-narrative that kinda sucks but still manages to pull a 180 at the end. There's even a fucking ARG in here with Hitler, apparently. It's like the Hex, but if the Hex was good. The core reason why this shift works so well though is that the card game still stays fun throughout. The mechanics change multiple times. In the RPG section, it's a full-on digital card game. There's no more upgrading or merging cards, no more roguelike stuff. There's 4 completely different card types you have to wrap your head around. And in the Bottopia section, it's more of an adventure game, still with a large inventory, but with the deck building element mostly stripped out. And now it's back to focusing on just one of the card types. And yet it still feels so fun and satisfying to play. It's still the same card game by the end, but it feels different. You approach it differently, to the point where it's almost something completely unique. Even at the very end, the game is pulling even more fun and creative revisions on the formula out. This is a game that ends with a boss fight in a style you've never even seen before, and it still works. Are there problems with Inscription? Yeah, a lot. The FMV stuff is terrible, the ending is pretty stupid, the latter half of the game misses a million opportunities to do something more compelling. Do I care though? If you're still watching this and you haven't played the game yet, play it! If you have played the game before, make some Leshy fan art. I swear to God I need this! I'm writing this the day before the Game Awards, and I swear to God if they announce anything else for Best Indie Game, I'm gonna kill Jeff Keighley.
And the Game Award for Best Independent Game goes to Kena, Bridge of Spirits.